Hello YouTube, this is Safe State and we're going to be going over the new any percent route for Ocarina of Time, this one on GameCube. I am using GZ here, which allows you to see my inputs and some watches you see in the bottom right. Currently there's not a GZ for GameCube, so I actually am using a VC inject of the GameCube version on my Wii as a virtual console, just so y'all can see the values, and you can do this too. If you download GZ from practicerom.com, you can inject the GameCube ROM into it and get a virtual console channel you can then install on your soft-modded Wii. And that way you can practice to make sure you get the angles and the heap right, which we'll go over that later in the run. So none of the watches or anything are actually required. They just help a lot whenever you're first learning it. So if you don't have a Wii but you have a GameCube and you have Master Quest, Japanese specifically, this only works with the Japanese version, then you can actually just follow along and you can eyeball the angle setups, and if you do the movement correctly, then you shouldn't have any issues. If you have the option available though, learning through a virtual console inject is definitely the way to go starting out. So if you have the Master Quest disc, your file name is going to be any two characters to start with, so you can just pick whatever, and then you're going to pick this Japanese character, 0.f, and that's going to be your file name if you have the Japanese Master Quest disc. However, if you have the Collector's Edition Japanese disc, then your file name is going to be a little bit different. Still going to start out with this character and a 0, but your last two characters are actually going to be this Japanese character over here, and then you're going to want to add these marks to it, and then your other character is just going to be this one right here, no marks added to it. So once you have your file name, you can go ahead and start. If you have GZ, then you can just warp into Link's house, skip the intro cutscene. Alright, before we get started, let's go ahead and talk about these watches. I have 3 on the screen. The first one is Link's facing angle. You can see as I rotate in place, it's changing up there. And then the next one down is the camera angle, which you can see as the camera slowly rotates, it slowly changes. And we're actually going to be using a mechanic where the camera aligns to 8,000. You can see it doing it right there later on in the hallway, so that's something to keep in mind. And then this last one is a pointer to what Link is holding in his hand, and we'll be using that to confirm the value of the rock we pick up later on. And you can get GZ from practicerom.com. It will you can download the patcher from there, download the Master Quest Vanilla Ocarina of Time ROM from the resources in the Ocarina of Time Discord. Patch GZ, and you can either put it on your EverDrive or your Wii as a WAD inject. Either one, that's a way you can confirm that your angles are correct, that your rock is correct, all that good stuff. Alright, so starting off, we're going to need to collect the Kokiri Sword, Deku Shield, and Deku Nuts. The Kokiri Sword is in the maze, so we can go get that, but the Deku Shield and Deku Nuts cost 55 rupees in the shop, so we're going to need to collect some rupees along the way. There's 2 rupees on the way to the maze that we can collect by running through a bush. So you're going to want to start off by backflipping off of Link's porch, and you'll see, as we backwalk here, the cliff will cut halfway into the left side of our C down button, and that's going to be your visual cue for side hopping to the right. And you're going to want to walk a little bit after those 2 side hops, and you'll collect both rupees in the bush. And then from there you can backflip up onto the cliff here, and then just line up with the crawl space, and then go inside. So entering the maze, you're going to want to turn around, target, backwalk, side hop twice, backwalk some more, collect these 2 rupees, and then about right here, side hop once to the left, and then side hop right 5 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then here you can back up and collect the sword. And I just let go of target while holding back, and Link turns around and you can press A to grab the sword. So all together, it looks like this. For some reason my audio quality is pretty low. I don't know why. If there's like some aliasing in the top ends. So apologies for that in advance. So after we collect the Kokiri sword, we need to chop down 2 bushes. The first one is going to be inside the maze as we're about to exit and we collect a blue rupee. And then some other chances are going to be from the bushes right outside of the maze. So the movement to go through that is going to be targeting the chest by holding up after this text box and then targeting it. And then from there we're going to backwalk, equip our sword as we get close to the back wall, and then side hop to the right 9 times. And then once we get in front of the bush that the blue rupee is next to, we're going to thrust it with the Kokiri sword by doing up and pressing B. And then you're going to side hop left twice and then back walk into the crawl space. There will be a little bit of walking movement as well, just to align ourselves. And then from there, we need to cut down some more bushes outside the maze. So a quick note, whenever you unpause, there's actually a little bit of lag, and during that lag you can buffer an input. So we're going to be buffering a side hop there, just so that we can get out as quick as possible. And altogether, that movement is going to look like this. Now that we're about to exit the maze, we need to collect some invisible rupees that are actually outside of the crawl space here. If you backflip around, the Kokiri here is like telling you to backflip, and I guess this is your reward for it, but there are some hidden rupees up here that you can collect just by backflipping. And for us, the optimal movement to do that is to target the crawl space, backflip once, side hop to the left once, and backflip again, and you'll collect all the 3 rupees that are hidden in the air there. And so something tricky to watch out is if you hold up for too long out of the crawl space, you will just, and you try to backflip, you will just enter the crawl space again. So you have to be careful with that timing. You can either flick up so you don't move and then backflip, or if you really want to push your time, you can buffer it by holding up and then time the down and A press. But if you're just starting out, you can just flick up and then do your backflip, side hop, backflip, and collect all your rupees. And from here, if you didn't collect a rupee in the bush, you're going to need to collect 2 more, but we did collect one from the bush in the maze, so we only need to collect 1 more. So start chopping down these bushes, and we already got one, so we're good to go. So after you've collected your 23 rupees outside of the crawl space and from the bushes, you're going to need to collect a blue rupee from this sign here, which you can either do by just slashing at it at about this angle right here as you're running towards it, or you can target it, thrust into it, which is a bit more guaranteed, but it takes a little bit more time to line yourself up with it. Because sometimes if you slash it at the wrong angle, the rupee can just go off one way, and you don't collect it. I've had that rupee like just land on the sign, and I've had that rupee land on the fence right there just like that, and it's screw runs over before. So you can either get used to that positioning where you slash it right there, or you can thrust it from back here. Whichever way you end up picking, you're going to want to backflip over the fence here, back up just a little bit, and then backflip again off of the cliff. And from here, you're just going to want to go to the fence so we can climb it and do a bridge clip, which is a 1-frame trick where you are able to clip on top of the bridge. You're just going to want to jump slash right after the peak of Link's jump. There's not really an easy way to do this. You just have to get used to the timing. Alternatively, if you really are having trouble with it, you can just take the old-fashioned way, but I highly suggest putting in a couple minutes getting used to bridge clip, because even 2 to 3 failed attempts is quicker than going the slow way. And after bridge clip, you go collect this blue rupee, and there is 1 more behind Midos that we must collect. And I say must because there are 6 permanent rupees throughout Kokiri Forest that we have to collect for the memory manipulation that we're going to be doing later to work successfully. And those 6 rupees are the 3 backflip rupees, the 1 from the sign that we cut down earlier, the 1 on the pillar up there that we got after bridge clip, and the last one is this one behind Midos. So once you're up behind Midos' house, you're going to want to grab the blue rupee, there's going to be 2 green rupees in the grass here. Then you're going to grab the blue rupee over the skipping stones, and then there's some grassy stones that you're also going to skip over to grab a blue rupee from. It's not a very complicated movement. You just grab it all, just go in a straight line from one to the other. You can actually land a little bit off to the side there with those rocks. Fun fact, you'll still collect the blue rupee, as long as you're like over it as you're descending. Jump slash to save a little time, and roll into the shop. There's going to be 5 more rupees back here. That gets us to 55, and we can buy our shield and Deku Nuts. You're going to want to equip your Deku Nuts and your shield, and if you're just doing this as a practice file, now is a great time to save so you can practice the ACE movement without having to go through the whole rupee collecting process again. So when Link's coming out of the shop, you're going to want to hold up right and roll, and then up left so you're facing in about this direction. Then you're going to want to side hop onto the skipping stone. Side hop one more time so you land in the water right next to this platform. That gets you onto land pretty quickly. And then from here you roll up 1, and then on the second roll you're going to want to target Mido and talk to him, like so. And together it looks like this. And then from here we're going to start the heap manipulation portion, which is where we run back and forth in the hallway 4 times. That way the actors in memory load in the spots that they need to, so we can perform SRM to set up an ACE payload that will load the credits movie. It's pretty easy. Once you're in the hallway, you're going to need to make sure that the camera is about in this direction. You're going to want to make sure that the Deku Baba that pops up right here is going to be directly behind Link, like so. So that way whenever we turn around, it's still on camera technically, because things that are directly behind Link and directly in front of him like to stay uncold, which means the game recognizes that they're visible. So setting up the heap once we have our angle is actually really easy. You just need to make sure Link's back is facing towards the Baba that will spawn in the hallway, and then run back and forth 4 times. However, on this 4th time, we're going to need to set up return A before we leave the hallway. And return A is whenever you shield, target, and see up all on the same frame that you get shield damage. And we have a really easy way to set that up here. If you target this wall, and then ESS to the right, or turn right with a flick turn. And if you don't know, ESS is whenever you barely nudge the control stick in a direction. And you'll see Link like shuffling his feet like this, and they'll be turning in place. And this is called ESS position. It's whenever you hold the control stick just enough to make Link spin in place, but not enough to actually move him. And we'll actually be using that technique to set up an angle later on in the run, whenever we're done with the SRM portion. So you're going to want to get used to holding ESS position, because it's going to be required later on in the run. But you're going to want to target this wall, turn or ESS to the right, and then you'll see the Deku Baba doing that spinning motion. Whenever he's doing the spinning motion, his hitbox grows, and that will allow us to actually knock our shield on it whenever we do that, the shield, target, and see up buttons all in the same frame. And doing that motion is actually pretty suspect on a GameCube controller, so if you're just starting out, you might want to pause buffer it. So whenever the Deku Baba is spinning like that, you're just going to want to, out of unpause lag, hold R, L, and C up. Like so. And now you have return A. You'll see Link is able to move around, but the camera is sort of like stuck in place. Also, one more thing to note about return A. If you fall off of any ledges, you lose it. So if I jump off here, there goes return A. We don't have it anymore. Target is restored and everything's normal, which is bad. That's not what we want. So like if you're side hopping and everything and you slip off the ledge, you have to go set it up again. But you'd want to restart from the shop because you would lose the heap setup if you go into the hallway again. But if you ever lose the heap or like you mess something up, you can always just enter the shop and then exit again, and you'll be able to start all of that over again. No needing to collect the rubies or anything because you've already done that. And so now that we have return A, we are good to leave the hallway. And if you're unaware, it's actually called return A because if we had English up right now, you'd see that the A button said return. That's just the naming convention for it. But regardless, we're good with the hallway. We can leave it until we're at the very end of the game, so we'll come back to here later. So now we need to get to the rest of the heat manip, which is collecting 2 rupees next to Mido's house, and collecting, loading the sword maze room once, the one that's in the crawl space. And to get over there, the best movement for that is to stand about right here, so you can either like roll down and stop about right here and adjust yourself, or whatever, or you can keep back walking after you get return A and stop right here. Either one, whichever one works best for you. And then you're going to want to side hop 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then on the 9th one, you're going to jump over this gap. However, let's say you were side hopping and you missed one, you walked a little bit and you're like, oh man, my spacing is messed up. You just need to position yourself about right here on the slope and your side hop will get you clean over. If you start side hopping a little bit too far forward, you'll actually run into this pillar here. And so that spacing is a little bit tight, but it's pretty easy to fix. If you notice you're a little bit forward, you can just adjust yourself before you start side hopping down here. So like if I walk too far forward here, start side hopping, you can just hold up left and then start side hopping again. But yeah, once you're about right here, hold up left, grab the 2 rupees. You're going to want to hold a little bit above down left, so that way you make this slope and you don't get caught underneath it. And then when you're about right here, it's a pretty generous area, just like in this whole area. You're going to want to hold up so you align with in front of Link, target, and then start back walking. Backflip over the fence, and then you're going to want to hold down left after the backflip. Then once you're about right here, you can back walk, and there's going to be a, oh hello Link, there's going to be a crawl space right in front of Link, so you can just walk into it like that. And so all together, the movement looks like this. And there you go. Once you're in the crawl space, you're going to need to load the maze room once, which you just need to shuffle forward 6 times. You'll see the camera swing back and forth 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the room loads, and then you can hold back and get out of it. So we're going to need to do walking while talking. And walking while talking is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's walking around while you're talking to something, and that something specifically is going to be this sign next to the crawl space. So normally whenever you exit a crawl space, the camera will stay in place for a second, and then it will unlock. So right now it's in place, and then it unlocks. But if you talk to something while that camera is locked, you'll be able to do walking while talking. So if you hold down right out of the crawl space there and talk to the sign, after the camera unlocks, we're actually able to use our C buttons. We can throw a Deku Nut, and then that restores our movement to Link. And then from here, you're going to want to target the sign that we just destroyed, and we're going to want to advance the text with the A button. Because if we try to advance it with, we're going to want to advance it with the C up button, because if you try to advance it with the A button, Link's movement gets locked again, and then we lose walking while talking. However, if we use C up, we get to keep that walking while talking. And you can tell it's happening because we're still able to target the sign that's now destroyed. Because normally you can't target a destroyed sign. So after we've advanced the text, we're going to need to pause. Because actually, if you try to press A to backflip over this fence without pausing, it soft locks. But for some reason, pausing fixes this. So after you perform walking while talking, you're just going to want to pause. And then you're going to want to backflip over this fence. And then to get the angle that we need to go down and side hop down to the circle rocks, which we'll be using the SRM. You're going to want to untarget just after you side hop, and that'll give Link a pretty good angle, because if you notice, Link keeps his angle facing towards the sign as he side hops, and if you untarget right after you side hop, then he'll have a pretty good angle going down to the circle rocks, like so. From here, you just side hop down, and then after one of the side hops, just as you're like coming down, you're going to want to dry roll, and to dry roll, after you side hop, you just press the A button, and Link will automatically change his angle. Then we're going to need to pick up a rock as it culls, which means like the camera goes so far away that it stops drawing it. But to do that, we need to position Link in a specific spot. You'll see that little white, that lighter spot in the grass to the top right of Link's right foot. You're just going to want to position him about right here, to where it's lining up just to the left of it, and the tip of his boots are touching the tip of the white spot. So this is the scary part for a lot of people. So whenever we grab the rock, the camera locks very far away, and we have to navigate Link blindly across the pond on top of those little platforms. But fortunately for us, it's actually not that bad. We can use audio cues to help us get there. We're going to hold right after we pick up our rock, and then hold down right for 2 beats. And I'm going to be doing my beats 0 indexed. If you want to start from 1, if that helps you, then just add 1 to all the beats that I'm doing. But I'm going to be releasing the input on the beat that I say I'm going to. So for this first one, you start holding right, and then within the first couple beats, you're going to want to hold down right for 2 beats. So it'll be like this. 0, 1, 2. And you notice I released on the 2, so that's my timing there. You're going to want to hold right until Link is approaching the edge of the screen. Whenever he's about right here, you're going to want to count out 9 beats. And then on the 9th one, hold upright, and he's going to jump across the first gap in front of the shop. You're going to want to hold up for 2 beats, and then upright again until you cross the second gap. Then you're on the other side of the pond. From there, you're going to hold right for 3 beats, upright for 12 beats, and then up left until the hallway loads. I think you can actually do it a little bit quicker than that, but I've had some trouble getting stuck on walls if I tried to do those timings quicker. Maybe it has to do with the GameCube mapping or something, but that's the timing that I use. And it seems to work pretty well every time. So all together, it's going to look like this. 0, 1, 2. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 0, 1, 2. 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Up left. And then you're in the hallway. So now that we're in the hallway, we need to align the camera to 8,000. So that way we can set up our angle, because what we are holding onto now, once we cross into the Kokiri Forest area, we are actually holding onto an area in RAM that is responsible for unloading the Kokiri children. So once they unload, which we do by crossing back over towards the Deku Tree room, our custom code will get run. But we need to get a specific angle, that angle being B5BE. That's the angle that we need to successfully execute the code to point to our file name. And the angle setup for that is first align the camera to 8,000, which you can sort of do by nudging up towards the wall until it starts rotating automatically. And then it's just waiting for it to align automatically. And you can keep nudging Link like so that the camera doesn't auto-rotate. Because even if the camera wants to go towards the center, if you wait too long, it'll unlock and spin back towards Link. So if you keep nudging Link to keep locking the camera in place, it will eventually go towards 8,000. Regardless, what you're going to want to do is hold right for 3 frames and then pause buffer the release of that. So the frames for it look like this. This is 1, 2, and then 3. This is the frame you want to pause on. If you get this frame, you went 1 too far, and you'll just have to realign the camera and try it again. But with some practice, you can actually you can pretty easily get that 3 frame like that with a single pause. And what this does, it aligns the camera to 772E. And from here, you're going to want to ESS to the right, which is that position on the control stick I was talking about earlier that makes Link shuffle his feet in place. And that will align him to the right of 772E and give him the angle 372E. Like that. So once you have this angle, you're going to want to ESS left, which is that slight position on the control stick I was talking about earlier, until Link rotates one angle to the right of parallel to the wall. So that's almost there. That's a little bit too far. But there we go. That's the angle that we need. This is the angle you're going to want to drop your rock at. And then you can run into the loading zone. But since this is VC, this isn't GameCube, and the code that we're trying to run doesn't exist, the game just crashes. But now I've got the actual GameCube version pulled up, so you can see how this is done in real time. First, the camera aligns to 8,000. I hold right for 3 frames, pause, unpause, ESS to the right, and then ESS to the left until I'm at 1 frame away from being parallel. 1 ESS turn to the right, away from being parallel to the wall. Drop the rock, and there's your credits. A couple troubleshooting things. If in practice, or just like whenever you're trying this stuff out, if the Deku Babas load instead of the credits playing, like there's no crash, that means your heap was bad. That means your camera was bad in the hallway with lining up with the back Deku Baba, or you didn't collect the rupees, or you forgot to go all the way into the crawl space. Any one of those things can affect the heap. If going across the crawl space did work, but it crashed the game, and you're not playing the VC inject, you're actually playing the GameCube version, you'll want to check your file name, make sure it is the same it is on here with the 2 spaces in the beginning. You'll also want to make sure that your angle setup was good, maybe do it a couple times if your file name was good. If you're still having trouble, you can post a video in the Ocarina of Time Discord, and we can see what's up, what's wrong with your run or whatever. If you have any other questions, please leave a comment, or actually no, don't leave a comment. The best place to go for questions is the Ocarina of Time Discord, which there will be a link for in the description. So please check that out if you have further questions. I think I covered pretty much all it takes to beat the game in less than 8 minutes. Getting under 8 minutes may take a couple tries, but it is totally possible with very basic movement. So best of luck and skill with your future attempts at Ocarina of Time Any% on the GameCube. Hopefully by the time you're watching this, the route isn't already outdated. Any% has been kind of crazy for the past couple months, but hey. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed it.